Okay. All right, Abby.
Do you want me to bring it to order?
And then, yeah, and then you can delegate.
Okay. Okay. It is 6 o'clock. I'm going to call the regular school board meeting of May 11th to order. First on our agenda is the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at this point, if there are no objections, I would like to pass the gavel to Arnie just to run the rest of the meeting.
I am honored, so I would be glad to do that.
Thank you, Arnie.
So the first order of business is to approve the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Derek makes the motion.
I will second.
So it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 It is approved. The next order of business is our consent agenda. It was sent out earlier. Hopefully people had a chance to look it over. We got a late resignation that came in, but it got put in here. So all of the stuff that is in here, including previous policies that we've already had the first reading for. Is there anyone that would like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll move that we accept the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I have a couple of questions about the policies that are included in the consent agenda.
So we could still put the motion and then have a discussion. So is there a second?
I'll second.
So it's been moved and seconded. So do we have a discussion?
Yes, so I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. The policy that's like the second one, the GBEBAR, communicable diseases in schools. On the third or the fourth pages, there's a section 1, and that section 1 is missing some key verb or word because I cannot make it make sense. Something about a nurse and something about a communicable disease, but the sense of that statement is not. I kept looking above it to see if I was just missing it referencing something, but
So the very top line of page 3.
yeah.
This is the communicable diseases one?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
So if we look at, it says nurse or school nurse stating that the student or employee respectively does not have or is not a carrier of any restrictable disease, period. An exclusion for chickenpox, scabies, staphylococcal skin infections, streptococcal infections, diarrhea, or vomiting may be removed by a school nurse or healthcare provider. But the first sentence doesn't contain a complete idea.
I think what that's saying, I think we might have talked about this at the policy committee, and it's not very clear, is that the school nurse or healthcare provider can remove the exclusion.
That's the second sentence, but the first sentence.
Right, which is the first sentence just doesn't.
Right.
The second sentence is clear, and could.
Do you think we need a school nurse, a nurse or school nurse stating that the student or employee respectively does not have or is not a carrier of any restrictable disease?
Yeah, there's something missing. That first sentence is missing.
So the only question is, could it be a colon and then the next sentence?
Or did something get cut off somewhere?
I'm looking back. I don't believe so.
It also has a number 1 by it. and then it goes to 5, and it's 4 before that. Did it just get moved out of order?
Should that be indented and it's the 3-1 or 3-A? That makes sense? Is it a,
I'm looking back at an older version to see if I can,
So do we want to just make a motion to remove this one until it's corrected for the next meeting?
So moved.
No moved, okay.
Second.
And it's been seconded, so we are amending our motion to take out GBBAR until the next meeting after it's been corrected. And we have a policy meeting coming up pretty soon, so that should work out.
Thank you. And I just had a question about LBEA, denial for virtual public charter schools, the last one. My question is what is our enrollment and how in a virtual public charter school that's not sponsored by us? And how are we even supposed to know that?
so we have, we keep a list of all students that are coming in and going out. And so we have a list of the students that are enrolled in other charter or virtual programs through the IDT process. David looked at that number when we were looking at this policy, and we're a hair over the 3% threshold. I've been trying to call families and work with them on coming back into our programs without having to be like, no, we're over the policy or we're over the threshold, so we can just deny it. I've been trying to get them to come back to us on their own accord, and we've had some good success. So I feel like we're going to get back under that 3% threshold next year. But we're a hair over. We're at 3.4, 3.5%.
believe
When we
somewhere
look
around
at
there.
it, yeah.
Okay.
But we keep a running list
Keep a
of,
running list.
of students going out, students coming in.
And those are just kids outside, just in a charter school, it's not one of our charter.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I know
I'm
who's
just trying
going
to
to
figure
where
out how you would
ways.
even know, if
They
they
have
have moved to the
in-
area
in
and they
order
enroll in
for
an
the-
online charter school
In
somewhere
order
else.
for the other one to accept them, they have to let you know that they can.
I see, okay,
They want
And,
to get public money.
okay.
and the virtual charter schools specifically, virtual schools,
That's the big
it's
one.
going to be a real big topic next year to hear about in the legislative session and the way that funding has been working with those institutions. So.
I mean, it's like pharmaceutical companies. People have figured out how to turn that into a profit center.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yes, we track those.
Okay,
We have a running spreadsheet.
because the virtual public charter school or virtual charter school is required to tell us
Yes.
that they are enrolling.
If they want to get the money.
If they
Yes.
wanted the money to
Yeah.
stay. Okay, now it makes sense. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, which has been amended to take out the one GBEBAR policy, which will come back next week. Any other discussion on any of the stuff in the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, those in favor of the amended motion say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Okay. And that took care of the policy. The next one is items for information. And we have a special presentation. Oh, our one isn't here, right?
I reached out to both of our student reps and did not hear back, so
Okay.
I kept them on there in case they did show up.
Public input.
We didn't have anybody sign up.
Nobody signed up, so I won't read this thing about all the public input. Now, we're to our Latinx Cultural Club presentation. So whoever amongst the group or all of you want to stand up and do a presentation, if you stand by where this podium is, they'll actually see you on the camera, so that'll be helpful.
And I will
And we
pull
are
it up on
really
the
excited
screen
about
here
having
for
you,
you.
so thank you for being here.
Give me one moment. Make it as big as I can for you. That's not really. Okay. And I don't know, because it's a PDF if it will let me skip. So if you just tell me to go to the next slide, I'll skip through for you.
Okay. So we're the Latinx group leaders, and we're gonna present to you guys about our club. I am Yareli Hernandez, and I'm a junior in high school.
I am Amina Palacios, and I'm a junior in high school.
I am Axel Osorio, and I am a sophomore.
I'm Anisha Ramirez, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Shayla Milan, and I'm a junior.
We want to introduce our club and tell you guys why it should matter to you because we're a Latinx club welcoming people of all backgrounds who want to come learn about Hispanic culture in different ways. We teach them in games, food, traditions, as well as our club is focused in a predominantly white school, so we try to offer a safe space for anyone coming to join us. We meet every other Tuesday and we teach them games and traditions we have.
Throughout this year, we have done various volunteering events. Our yearly ones include Read Across America, Family Fun Day, and Day of the Dead. Also, during our holiday seasons, we partner up with the ARC and we help them with gift wrapping for Christmas. And in November, we have our Day of the Dead event where we learn the culture and origin behind it, as well as doing arts and crafts, learning of the ofrenda and other things.
Thanks.
And these are some of our club activities. One of them is culture-inspired pottery, which we learned about how Hispanic cultures have different types of pottery, such as using clay and different types of techniques in the drawings. And then the other one is the Ojo de Dios, which comes from the Huichol people in Mexico, and it symbolizes wealth, protection, and health. And then trying traditional culture food. Every single time we meet during lunch, so we bring in food and learn about the history about it. Here are some more examples of our volunteering events. You can see that there's one of our club meetings, family cafes, and then in the middle there's an ofrenda, and it's like a decoration stand to remember our past loved ones and putting an offering of something that they enjoyed while they were born.
Cesar Chavez is an annual event which we offer in our club. Only a certain amount of students per club can go volunteer, 20. We meet at Southern Oregon University or Western Oregon University. Cesar Chavez brings many Latinx clubs. They offer career workshops and from different colleges, and the colleges tell us what careers they offer. During the tour, they offer sessions. They offer salsa classes, lowriders, and Mexican flowers, telling about their stories and what they mean. There's also speakers who talk about Cesar Chavez and his accomplishments, with a popular quote they use is "Si se puede." It means anything is possible. A quote he used for farmers against exploitation.
About our club attendance, on average, we have about 17 students who come and attend our club meetings, with our highest club meeting having 26 students. Our club hours in total has rounded up to 470 hours in just a year, and we try to do at least 2 opportunities to volunteer each month. And then to advertise for when our meetings are, we usually post on our Google Classroom with our club and students, and then we also post on Instagram.
Cultural foods. During club meetings, we often try various amounts of cultural foods. We try chicharrones, quesadillas, flanes, tacos, and the rosca de reyes. The rosca de reyes, as you can see on the slideshow, it's the top one. It's a very prominent cultural food within our within Hispanic culture. It's basically a sweet bread in an oval shape, and it represents eternal love from God. It has candied fruit jewels on it, and inside of it, it contains a figurine of a baby Jesus, and that's supposed to represent that's supposed to represent Jesus heading from Herod. And overall, it's eaten on January 6th. It marks the end of Christmas season. And I think that food is a very impactful way to spread our culture. It's very effective as people can get an insight into what we celebrate in like our traditions. It's we often have a historical lesson on the food's origin and its significance within the community.
The Latinx Club plays a vital role in our community, not only through the way that we express our culture and share with others through traditions, language, food, music, and art, but also through meaningful contributions made to create a sense of welcome for others. And through partnerships with Cruz Hispanic Allies and the Cruz-based School Foundation, we have also been able to get funds, and we have also had the opportunity to apply for a grant for the past 2 years to fund for our trips and stuff that we do, especially Cesar Chavez. And then we would also like to thank our advisors, Roman Munoz, Jennifer Torres, Melinda Torres, and Ann Rodriguez for making everything possible.
So are there questions?
Any questions?
I have a question. I was reading Mr. Ashton's newsletter today, and he said on May 28th is the first multicultural night in the gym at Marshfield. I'm assuming Latinx Club's going to be a part of that event, and do you know any details about that? Because all I saw was what Mr. Ashton.
So basically, each cultural club is gonna have in the main gym of Marshfield, we're gonna have our own like tables, and it's gonna have a presentation, like a trifold presentation, like going to be on the different cultures, and then we're also gonna have activities for the kids. It's not only gonna be just for like people from the school to come, but it's gonna be a family event. And I think it's gonna be a good way to definitely show the impact that our cultural clubs has on the community and the school.
And that's again, it's going to be on Thursday, May 28th.
Okay, thanks.
So far, we don't know what we're going to do yet, because we're gonna make a meeting like in the next week to plan for what we're gonna do, but we're gonna be part.
Got a little time.
There's also gonna be a nice potluck with all the cultural foods. They're gonna make foods from the origin they're from, and then everyone's gonna get to.
You guys should be really proud having a club with an average attendance of 17, with a couple times a week or a couple times a month meetings and all of the wonderful volunteer activities that you guys have participated in. You should be very, very proud. I was wondering what goals you have for the next academic year, or what things you hope to do as a club in the future.
We really hope to just have opportunities to do more like traveling, to see more of like culture in other places, and to teach people about Hispanic culture, and to just welcome us.
So have you checked with each other to find out how many of you are from different countries? Because I know from my experiences that the culture in Venezuela is different than the culture of Mexico. Actually, northern Mexico and southern Mexico are very different. So do you have those conversations amongst yourselves about the different countries?
Well, a large percentage of our students who attend are from a Mexican origin. We also have a lot of mixed students, such as Asian and Mexican. And we have it's predominantly people from the Mexican origin, but we also have white people, Asian people, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. So it's mostly Mexican.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was curious if you feel like most people in your club are bilingual, or if you know.
Yeah, mostly everyone who is Hispanic from our club, they speak both Spanish and English.
And so they probably are, their families are also bilingual at home?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great, thank you. I'm putting my plug in for translations. That's my plug.
And clearly.
I have a question, Arnie.
Go ahead.
And I mean no disrespect by this question, but most of us on the board grew up with the phrase Hispanic. Can you explain the term Latinx for me?
Latinx is basically saying like all like Spanish cultures, like Venezuelan, Spain, Brazilian, and then X is basically non-binary. So like in Spanish, you have verbs that end in A and verbs that end in O. A is female, O is male. So X is like all genders of his like Latinx.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and Hispanic does not include things like Brazilians and others, and when you think about that.
Hispanic is
bigger term.
mainly just like
Yeah.
Spanish.
So I appreciate that. I appreciate that difference. So,
Yeah.
any other questions? I want to say I am very impressed that you came here. You did a great job as a group presenting, which is not always easy to do. And I am really excited that you have a club that seems to be functioning really well and has a lot of people. Because as you have noted, this is not a really cultural diverse community. And so making sure that people get to know you better and understand your cultures better is good for all of us. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Beautiful t-shirts too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.
So are there some of your advisors here too?
Come on, Sam.
Yeah,
You should introduce them.
this is Roman Munoz. He's also one of our Spanish teachers at Marshall.
Thank you for being here too. We appreciate it. Okay. Is Kate here?
Yep.
Oh, there's Kate. Okay. I missed it. So Student Success Committee.
All right, I understand the nervous part. So I'm here for the Student Success Committee. It's a new committee that was put together this year to focus on equitable resources and just making sure that our schools are understanding what the students' needs are and what they are looking for. Our main focus this year was on a school climate survey report. We had 991 students take the survey, and for the past about 3 months, we had sat there and kind of broke down the questions that we wanted to ask and trying to really focus on the students' point of view and what they were expecting their school culture to be like, and were they feeling respected? Were they feeling like they were ready to take on life after school? After our school survey, we had a readiness gap. 90.1% of students feel respected by their staff. Approximately 25% feel unprepared for life after graduation. Now, a little further into the PowerPoint, it kind of brings up different groups and exactly what they mean by the 25% feeling unprepared. A lot of it was your social, emotional, and just social rather than academic was a big part of it. Survival curriculum was a good term that's on here, and that focuses on a balanced relationship with technology versus just, sorry, a little nerves, but sorry, one second. The proposal outlines actionable strategies to bridge the gap between academic instruction and real-world application. So something we noticed is a lot of students feel like they're on their Chromebook quite often, and exactly what the survey said was 52% of the day. The committee itself believes that this is an impersonal teaching method, and it exacerbates the lack of soft skills like collaboration and critical thinking. This was brought up probably, I would say like 50% of our meetings was brought up at the fact that when students are using Chromebooks all day, they tend to lose that critical thinking side of things, and they don't have as much of an ability to present or to build those social skills that you do in traditional teaching senses. And so another thing with cell phone anxiety, with the new cell phone law that was put in place this year, 73.9% of students would feel less safe without phone access, and they are not big on the office phone where you turn your phone into the office when you first get there. They feel like if there was an emergency, they wouldn't feel comfortable fully giving that phone to the office and not having if a parent needed to reach them. Let me make sure. We're going to go back to a little bit to percentages. We did the readiness gap, which was 25.2. We need real world skills in the curriculum so that students feel like they can project what they learned forward. The respect gap, only 64% of students feel respected by their peers, and that was a big need for social emotional focus, being able to work around social issues and being able to have some growth there. 86.5 of students feel safe at school, and 90.1 feel respected by staff, which was good. And then if you see, we have a concerns by representative groups, and that's going to show you exactly some of our smaller focus groups and what they were saying their needs were and their key concerns. The nice part about the survey is there was a lot of side notes where you could see specific groups and the needs that they're having within it. So suggestions for improvement. These are stuff that kept going on throughout multiple of our meetings, especially after the survey was done. Across all the groups, there's a universal request for practical life skills. The first thing is a life skills fair where we host a biannual event using an assembly schedule where community members teach stations on changing tires, Taxes 101, and basic cooking. The thought of this is giving students the chance to be at school versus it being an after school program. Will give them the chance to kind of not necessarily be forced, but it makes it a lot easier for them to juggle that with all their extracurriculars and homework and all that. Especially being on that assembly schedule makes it a lot easier to manage and put together.
Can I tag in on this?
Yes.
And then another thing that we thought that would really help is if I'm a student and I've chose manufacturing, and that's the CTE program that I'm investing my time in, my classes into, I mean, I have the opportunity for culinary, but that doesn't mean I don't want to know how to, make pancakes and breakfast or some basic cooking skills that maybe I'm not getting at home. So it opens the door for an opportunity to experience those different things without having to take a whole track on it. So that was a conversation around that as well.
Just to clarify, this is something we're already doing, or this is a proposal for the future?
That is a proposal.
Yeah, these are like our suggestions on how to improve in those specific survey results. Our second thing was career job shadowing. Kind of a side note about like when I was in school, I worked for it was a ranch house, and they taught me how to be a chef, and I would go there for the last 3 hours of my school day. And we were did we have a program like that here right now? It's kind of like,
I think we may have something similar, but where we kind of divulge from that typical, you choose one job and that's your work experience, was kind of a rotation through, hey, you do 2 weeks shadowing the general manager at Walmart. Then you do 2 weeks shadowing someone at natural gas. So it's more of a shadow than an actual you're working there and then getting experience for it. It's learning what are the different jobs and avenues that you might want to go, and what does that day look like for that person. So it gives you, again, more opportunity to dip into multiple fields rather than just pick one. And now you know all about working at the bank and you've got experience for it, but you have no idea what the guy behind the counter does at another business.
I mean, I feel that. I feel like a lot of people will learn a skill and that's the skill they go with for their whole life. Or they decide, like I worked Walmart for 8 years and then ended up moving on to school, and it was like perfect for me. And I never would have thought that if I didn't move away from that and explore other options. So the nice part about the career job shadowing is we're ensuring that students have multiple opportunities to try different things and find what they want to do in life. For the reimagining the technology use, and Chromebooks have been brought up a lot in our meetings, instead of one-to-one individual devices, moving towards like an old style computer lab, but more a CART style, where if a class needs Chromebooks for a specific time period to do an essay, to do a presentation, you would roll that Chrome cart into their room, and instead of it being they always have Chromebooks, they're using them for the thing they need versus being so dependent on them. And that would also bring down costs as far as IT goes, because we're consistently fixing Chromebooks, and just a nice way to look at something else to cut some costs.
And actually, that's something that we are moving towards for next school year. moving away from one-to-one and looking at more of a cart system across the board. We're still working out some of the logistics of that at the high school. But we're also looking at if a student at the high school, let's say a student's taking AP, not even AP seminar, but they're taking an AP class, and so they need that Chromebook more than just a card. They can check one out from the library and have it for the semester or for the school year. But we're working a lot more on a cart-based system versus the one-to-ones that we have.
Yeah, I think it's really nice to switch to less dependence, because I feel like a lot of our students feel as if they can't pen and paper anymore on an essay or something. If we create a system where it's like, okay, do your research, get it ready, write your essay, you bring in the computer lab, and then you go from there. Screen addiction education. A lot of parents don't understand necessarily how to have these discussions, and we were saying how we feel like we could teach parents on screen addiction and even teach the students in a curriculum style on how excessive screen time also affects mental health issues. And if we can teach the students the effects that it's having on them, it can give them a better understanding on limiting themselves and truly having a little more power on what they're doing with their screen time. Policy and safety refinement. The emergency communication protocol is the office turn-in model that I brought up earlier, where a lot of students aren't feeling that, and we just, I don't know if necessarily we can decide that, but as far as a committee, we were saying that that wasn't a supported thing that we would want to pursue.
No, and that was a theoretical question that we had raised, as Dr. Rogowski had brought up in the past, that that maybe our current policy, if we're truly thinking the screens are distracting, maybe having them in your pocket isn't far enough. But acknowledging that we need a consensus to move something, that big. We thought it was a great opportunity to ask the students how they would feel about that, should we implement it. So I don't think it was ever the intention of the district to move forward with that exactly, but just to do a fact-finding mission to see what the appetite would be should we pursue something like that. So it seemed that there was a pretty
clear line in the sand.
Yeah, pretty clear rejection of the idea, but that may also correlate with, if you're addicted to something, you don't want to give it up, and so that kind of goes back to that education about screen addiction. If we're
well, it's interesting because the word even in the report is that they would feel less safe or anxious without their phone, right? So if you have a dependency on something, you feel less safe or anxious when you give it up. You feel exposed without it. And so the word that people choose about cell phone anxiety being, I'm without it, therefore I'm less safe. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that kind of, when we talked about the screen addiction education, it was kind of looked at in the same lens as DARE or drug awareness. Is if this is a serious addiction, which I think we can all acknowledge that it is, even for adults, we should treat it with the same level of seriousness that we treat other addictions. Because one could argue that maybe it's not as dangerous, but it is if you're texting and driving because you can't put your phone down, then it is dangerous. And it's dangerous to your mental health. So there are other ways it's dangerous rather than your physical health, and that's kind of how that conversation stemmed, is, how can we treat this with the same level of effort that we put into making sure kids stay drug-free and alcohol-free. So we thought that would be a good avenue to look at.
Are we having problems with kids that having them available to them now in classrooms, or do we know?
I think that as the year has moved on, we've seen the need to double down on it. I had to have a conversation with my own daughter about texting me during class just the other day. Overall, we've seen cell phone usage obviously way down from what it was in the past, but it's a constant re-education for I think students and staff.
Can I say from the 3rd through 6th side of things, so much better. I mean, I think the overall presence of just knowing that it's a law, and I think the kids hear law and it helps them understand, like, this is a serious thing. You shouldn't have it in school. You should be focused on learning. at the start of the year, I'm taking, 3 phones away in my morning duty in the gym, but now it's to the point where a student understands that, okay, I walk in the door, I shut off my phone, I put it in my bag, which, from getting them already started on that's how things work. I always think of things in like a few year plan. Like it's not going to be a this year, it's going to be solved, but hopefully after a long period of time, they lose that dependency on their phone. And then as they move up into the higher grades, it kind of just becomes like, if I need it basis.
It is weird. I mean, I have 2 twin middle school granddaughters who parents got them phones like last year. They haven't had them for a long time. And they always leave them at home. They forget that they even have them. I mean, they are so totally not connected to screens. And it's been good for them academically. It's been good for them in all those other things. Except, as Mom said, I can't get a hold of them. They never have their phone with them. The purpose that we gave them was so we could get a hold of them. Now, it doesn't work very well.
I was curious if you could describe to me what the what we are currently doing to teach kids things like taxes and basic budgeting and balance. Like, is that part of the planned curriculum, or does the student have to go out of their way to be in a certain class to get that kind of information?
Currently, it's not in any planned curriculum, but it will be because we have it's a state requirement now that students take.
Personal finance.
It's not
Personal
personal finance, though. It's not called that, but it is essentially
Financial literacy.
financial literacy. Thank you, Kate. It's a financial literacy that becomes a graduation requirement next year. We did get a waiver for it to extend it out 1 more year, but we're going to be building a class for that program.
What grade level are we going to be teaching?
It'll be at the high school level. I believe in their junior year is where that's going to be. But yeah, that is a state requirement as the state has seen more and more students fall into.
Hey, they're tied.
Fall into credit card disarray, taxes, things like that. So it's coming on.
We also have the elective at the junior high that's personal finance. And so that's more of a choice-based thing, but at least, that option's early on for students that may be starting jobs, stuff like that.
Then I had a question about, so you said you had over 900 responses. So what grades did you administer this to?
It was, did we go under 3rd grade? I think it was 3rd grade onwards.
3 through 12.
And then when the digital overload, you said the students spend an average of 52% of the day on their Chromebooks. Is that because we're using like GoGuardian and we're actually measuring their time on Chromebooks, or is that self-reported? That's how much they think they're spending of the day.
That was the average of self-reported. Some reported 80%, some reported 20%, but that was the average of all.
But it's a self-reported number, not an actual measurement.
No, not an actual measurement.
May I?
Go ahead.
I would like to, this is great, thank you so much. I'd like to know who's on the Student Success Committee. And maybe I missed something in a presentation, but I'm curious who's on it. I'm curious if these, the suggestions have come from the people on the committee or from students themselves. And I was wondering, to kind of follow up on Dr. Rogalski's comment, I would love to see what's on the survey and if it came with any, if you've got anything more to show about how many students said what, any more data.
So,
So yes, I have sent out the survey, but I can send out the results with the any student markers pulled from it. And the only reason we took those was, and only Gary and I have access, was just so we could make sure there weren't duplicate responses. But I'm happy to share that data with you, and you can sort and filter as you'd like. The Student Success Committee is made up of community members, staff members, and students. So while these suggestions for change did come from the committee, students were involved in that conversation.
The students who are on the committee.
The students who are on the committee. So we haven't, but that might be something that we explore at our next meeting, is a follow-up to this survey. And here's what we're hearing from you. Here are some ideas that we thought might help rectify those situations. How do you feel about those? What are some other suggestions? Something like that as a follow-up. But I'll send you the names of everybody on the committee as well, and kind of their roles.
I was just struggling with the PowerPoint to discern what came from the survey and what came from the committee. And it would just be, it's good to know.
So everything, just as far as the PowerPoint goes, everything that's after the key challenges, so when you get into suggestions, everything previous to that is straight survey information. The suggestions is when you move on to just what we as a group decided would be the best way to go forward with each of these issues.
And this was a requirement from the state to form this committee. And one of the requirements was no board members can be on it.
That is true.
Did not know that.
And it was actually revised. When initially it came out, it was a committee to the board, and then it became a committee to the superintendent, specifically so we can have difficult conversations without adhering to public meeting law.
Right. I think that's great. And I saw, Addie, I saw your hand. I just want to make sure that in the materials that come with the board stuff, this is all I have to see. So I want it to be just as clear and transparent as possible, where the numbers came from, what they relate to, and what came from another body, if that makes any sense, because it's just it's hard to tell. Addie?
Yeah, did you get any questions or responses from kids about using AI and wanting to understand how to appropriately use AI so that, they can use it in their careers going forward?
Addie, I'm not 100% on that. That's something I'm happy to look into in the extra suggestions. I don't know. We didn't ask a specific question about AI, but that doesn't mean that one of the students didn't respond with that in the extra comment section. So I'm happy to look into that for you, and I'll report back to the board.
I think AI was kind of hard for us to bring up because it's still one of those iffy things on how much involvement we want within classrooms when we brought it up a little bit. But, so maybe something to add on to the next year and how we go forward. So tackling these issues, seeing how students want to tackle them, and then, once sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean, is that the typical sort of pace of the student success committee? Is you guys will have multiple meetings throughout the year, give a survey, and then report to the board once a year? Is that kind of how
This is the first year.
It's the first year.
Well, yeah, but I'm asking, but is that the plan going forward?
That it's a little bit amorphous as we get direction from the superintendent or vicariously from the board, where we're happy to focus on anything. I also send our policy packets out to the student success committee should they have any input from an equity lens on any of those policies.
That's great.
So that's another thing that they review that, and so far we haven't had feedback that has made it to policy, or that we haven't garnered any feedback from that yet.
Yeah.
But we do send it out. So that's kind of our goal is to look at district practices and policies through an equity lens and make sure that the voices on the committee, which in turn represent different sections of voices within the student community, are represented in the policy decisions that are made. But I think that the survey was a good way for us to kind of find out where are we starting, to set a footing, and then following up on that survey will kind of give us that trajectory. It may change. The students may say, we hate your suggestions and we don't want to do that, and so we may change. But for now, that's our target, is to improve student outcomes through looking through an equity lens.
When I think of first of all, in my March superintendent report, I gave some statistics, so I just reshared that with you guys via email. The March superintendent report that you can take a look at that has some of those statistics. And then I think a prime example is the computer Chromebook usage, which was a item that was discussed by staff, by admin, and then backed up through the student survey data that we have. We have We have staff members that feel like we're on Chromebooks too much. We have administrators that feel like we're on Chromebooks too much, and we have kids that now back it up. So it becomes something for us really to take a look at when we have all three components of what make up our schools during the school day, saying that this is an issue. And so, it's great to get that extra student voice to be like, even our students are backing up this assertion that the adults are saying, the students are saying it too. So that's just one change right off the bat that we all can agree on as factions.
Is there an easy way to track that use of Chromebooks? My understanding is the Chromebooks allow our staff to monitor what the students are doing. So does it give us enough options that we could look at our district and say, hey, right now our average student uses, let's say, 155 minutes of Chromebook every so often. And then we could actually look at it and say, we made this change, and next year it's 120 minutes. We cut a half hour off the average or something. You're just thinking of an objective way to measure it. Since we've had our three most important groups, our teachers, our students, and our administrators, all with concerns about it, is there a way to objectively measure that we're getting better or worse?
Yeah, I think we can look at GoGuardian to look at some of those usage. I mean, one of the reasons that, and again, we're still working on some logistics when it comes to the high school and junior high specifically with some of the Chromebook usage, but one of the statistics that kind of backed up, do we need to be checking Chromebooks out, is the lack of students using them at home. We were able to look and say how many times, because the students are still logging into their CBK12 account at home to access those things. So we were able to look at those statistics and say, our students aren't using them at home. Like, they're not logging in and doing schoolwork. Therefore, we could easily say then, okay, but the ones that are, well, we can check them out one through the library and they're still getting that usage at home. We won't be denying them the opportunity, but that was one of the factors, is looking at usage at home to make that decision of like, is what we're doing the right avenue that we're down. And so, yeah, we should be able to look next year both at in-school usage and at home usage and say kind of where we're at, total minutes percentage-wise.
I'm interested to see how the younger grades and just like that track, because like for me, where you were saying like, oh, this is just a student guess at how much we're using it, like from a sub/teacher/EA, I'd probably say it's a little higher than the students are even saying, just based on the fact that our curriculum has to amplify, Success Maker, a lot of their essay reports go on Google Classroom. Like, I'd be really interested to see what's, other than your Amplify lessons, just seeing where we go from here. So I think it's super exciting to think of going back to teaching to where you're genuinely teaching everything. I think that's how you not only combat Chromebooks and screen time, but also combat social emotional, giving the students like platforms to like make presentations and stuff. Going back to that, so super exciting.
I think this is a really, really important committee, and I'm so glad you told me that you said the policies. I think that's wonderful, and I just would love to know more, and I don't know where I would find information about the committee, if there's a place I'm supposed to be looking to find it. But when we get these kind of updates, it's so great, especially if somebody can say, this is this committee, we're in our first year, we've met 5 times, there's 22 people, get the facts a little bit. We can send you the survey questions. It's just so helpful to remember, put all the pieces together, because this is really, really important. And kudos to you for carving out the extra time to do it. And I do recall you now in March presenting a few things, but I had lost track of.
March a long time ago. I kind of went back to reports really quick. I'm like, I know I did it.
I kind of lost track,
Sure.
and so it really helps to have a little bit of context. So I would appreciate that.
Absolutely, and I'll go back and check. I know I sent the minutes of our meetings to the administrators, but I can't remember if I included the school board. So if I didn't, I'll make sure that that's a practice moving forward, that I send the minutes from our student success committee, so you can kind of see how the the sausage is made, so to speak, how we're working through these things. Because I do have those, so I'll be happy to provide those as well as the
If that
the
fits,
survey
I mean, I
hardware.
understand it's a, there's no board members on the committee, and that's fine, but it's just really critical. And so getting this update was great, and I thank you for it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cade.
Before Cade steps out,
Yes.
Cade, you didn't tell us your role in the district,
Yeah,
other than on
I'm
this
curious
committee.
about that.
Sorry, my bad. I did my graduation photos, so I did a PE assistant for words. I was a PE assistant for my first 2 years at Sunset, and this year I'm a 6th grade assistant, but I'm kind of just everywhere. I also do have a district sub license that I use to consistently sub through Sunset. So I do the student success committee, some PBIS fundraising at Sunset, so booster clubs. So
Kate's been a huge person at Sunset this year in terms of, Sunset's now hosting dances for 6th grade and hosting more family events. And Kate's been a huge factor in those changes over at Sunset this year, helping out Kara and Chad and Rachel and that crew, with changing the culture over there. And Kate's been a huge part of that. So he deserves a lot of credit for what's going on.
Thank you.
Mindy from Millicoma deserves a lot of that credit
Mindy
too.
helped him, and Mindy
She
gave a lot of
is
blueprints.
she has the amazing blueprint that made it very accessible. So I really appreciate her. But it was great to meet you guys. Sorry, my nerves got up to me a little bit at the start. I was telling David earlier that I was excited to, keep pushing myself to do things that are a little uncomfortable. But so excited to be here. But,
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Yep.
Kate.
Well,
Thank you,
have
Kate. Have a great evening.
Yeah. You need anything coming up?
So next we have our business office update, and I assume our superintendent's going to handle this?
I can, sure. Marina told me just to tell you guys if you had any questions, to give her an email, but we can go over it.
Doesn't matter, one way or the other.
So you have the check disbursements for the month. There were no major expenditures that Marina told me that I should be wary of.
First student is our bus transportation.
The bus folks.
Bus folks. I always get them confused with, we also work with a proficiency-based grading company that's called
First Education.
First Education. Thank you. I always call them Student First, but I butcher that one a lot. So yeah, that's right. That's a big one. That's a big one.
Well, no, that makes perfect, but I just hadn't seen something come across.
Did you know that the gas prices have gone up?
Yeah.
You hadn't noticed.
If you have any other questions on that, the other big expense for the month was Sodexo, and then our Lighthouse charter.
So fooding them and transporting them.
Yeah, feeding our kids and moving them around. So that's the check run for the month. Moving on to financials. Marina didn't warn me about anything. We do have budget committee meeting coming up on Wednesday. But Marina said things are moving along just fine. She's very happy about where we're at right now at this point in the school year. So that takes care of the financials. Special revenues was the same thing. Marina said that she feels really good about where things are at. One of the things in my board report tonight is highlighting our spring tea event that took place a few weeks ago. The special revenues are going well. Again, Marina said if you have any questions, feel free to shoot her an email. And then May enrollment, we are, go away, Mr. Highbar there. Our May enrollment currently is staying steady. We have not seen a big drop throughout the district. Pre-K enrollment has stayed steady. Our online enrollment is right where we're at. We've gained a few students here, as we always do, coming down the home stretch. We have some parents, both in and out of the district at the elementary level especially, that make that decision to the last 8-9 weeks of school, that they're going to want to shift to an online format for their kiddos. And that's one of the reasons we have the online program, is to support those families. You can see our numbers at Eastside and at Madison have stayed steady. We're up 2 students at Madison, down 2 students at Eastside. Millicoma continues to be our largest of our K-6 buildings. And then the high school, we're down 14 students. Some of those students have moved over to destinations. We're up a couple students at destinations. And some of those students have also moved into the online program for the second semester for the last 9 weeks of the last quarter. But overall enrollment is pretty steady. And these are the numbers that we've been working on to build the budget for next year. Questions on any of those? Again, if you have any questions, Marina said feel free to shoot an email. She had to go to Portland today for something that she's got tomorrow. So.
She'll be back on Wednesday.
She'll be back on Wednesday for the budget meeting.
Okay. Facilities Committee, we do not have, the superintendent's report first.
Oh, okay.
And then Kevin asked if I would share for facilities committee.
Okay, cool.
So I'm happy to do that.
So first we'll start with superintendent.
All right, so superintendent report for the month of May. It's a short one tonight. I mean, Kim's not here, and it's the shortest of the whole school year. So just a reminder of our board goals that we have there, and the presentation tonight that David and Kate gave, for example, of our board goal number 4, which is administering at least 2 community and student-based surveys on climate and student voice. So I appreciate that. Clicker it.
Oh, hold on, let me pull over the screen. I'll try.
Really? Oh, maybe. No. Just doesn't like it. All right, David, I'll click through it. So there's superintendent goals. Like I said, goal 4 tonight was the student success items that were shared. Go ahead.
For me.
All right, just this month was last week was Certified Appreciation Week. Heard lots of great things going on in the buildings. Much of it was around food items, both breakfast and lunches. Appreciate the board supporting and providing bagels to the buildings last week. Lots of other food items that were presented. It seems like our certified in a lot of building staffs were very well fed last week. Oh, there we go. Quick update on testing. Right now, we're in the middle of testing season at our K-12 buildings right now. We have the ELPA survey going on, which is the English Language Proficiency Assessment. Our students have completed that. And ELA testing is going on at the 3rd through 8th grade, again at the junior grade level. Math is also 3 through 8 in the juniors, and then science is grades 5, 8, and 11. So state testing is in full gear right now. Also, the students at the.
I was going to show asparagus, but I didn't see it.
Okay. The students at the 10th through 12th grade participated in the ASVAB last month at the high school. They took their SATs here in the last few weeks, the juniors, and right now they are all grades 9 through 12 are on AP testing. So right now is the big season of testing for the month of May. So that's something that's going on. No one says it's going to work. Maybe not. Leanne doesn't want to. Spring Tea. I just want to highlight the Spring Tea event that happened at St. Monica's Church on the 22nd of April. Over $20,000 was raised at this event for the Coos Bay Community Schools Foundation. And that doesn't count another $25,000 that's been pledged through a separate endowment. And so all in all, that event brought in about $45,000. Right there on the top left, our New Horizons performed at the event. We have Nico Tucker, who performed. She also performed at the state solo band competition, which I'll talk about here in a little while. A little shout out to Callie Mill there, who was holding. She didn't bring a stand for the insert for the music to read. So Callie held it up for her during the event, which was awfully nice of her. And then 2 community members, former teachers and educators, were recognized. Jamie Faraday for all that he's done for Coos Bay School District, for the community, with the Marsh Trail and everything was recognized, which was super cool. And then George Tinker, who was a teacher at Marshfield when I was in school, Mr. Tinker. I remember Mr. Tinker fondly feeding the boa constrictor that was in the basement of the East Branch. And he had a couple other snakes and critters that were around, but that was always when it was feeding time, we always ran down to watch the boa constrictor get fed.
He raised mice just for that purpose.
Yeah.
Nice.
And but both of them delivered fantastic messages, and it was a great event. We'll shout out to also to Bradford McEwen, who's shaking Mr. Tinker's hand on the far right. Bradford is a 1997 Marshall graduate who emceed the event, did a fantastic job. But a huge, the group that puts together that event, Arlene Roblins, Nancy Tedder, Peggy Christensen, Corliss Berger, the list goes on and on. They did an outstanding job. Kathy Danielson, great event. It's always fun, and it raises good money for our schools. The archery program was there as well. They did not shoot any live arrows. They had videos of arrows. And then the cheer team did a little performance as well. So we did learn, I'll take the blame on this. They kind of scheduled it to allow me to be there before I left for Scotland. And then we figured out very late in the game, it was on the same night as conferences. And so we're going to make sure to alleviate that for next year. But an awesome job by that group, and it was fun.
Hey, Gary.
Yes.
That young lady who played the euphonium was amazing.
Yes, and I'm going to talk about her in just a moment.
Oh, good.
So upcoming events, just want to remind everybody I have my next coffee with the superintendent is coming up on Wednesday at Lady Bread Bakery in Charleston. I'll be there from 7:30 to 8:30. Got a town hall coming up next week over at East Side for the month of May. And then I'll have another follow-up. I'll have one more one more coffee with the superintendent and one more town hall in June. And then I have superintendent solution sessions scheduled for each building coming up in late May and early May, to get one more opportunity for some staff feedback as we go into summer and work towards the fall. So a couple more input events. Timeline, just a couple other things just to let the board know about. On Wednesday, we have the MHS Scholarship Assembly, which is scheduled to start around 10:10 in the Marshall Auditorium. If
In your seats by 10.
What's that?
In your seats by 10.
In your seats by 10:10. So if you're available and you want to swing by the auditorium that day, that will be happening. The Budget Committee meeting is at 6 p.m. Also that evening. What?
Here.
In here, yep, right in this room. On the 20th, there's a second Budget Committee meeting. That one's always scheduled if needed. Last year they did need 2 sessions. The year before, though, we've only needed 1. And so so it's scheduled tentatively. The 27th of May, we have the MHS Awards Night, 6 p.m. at the auditorium for our seniors. It's always a fun event. And then on the 30th, we have our Milner Crest Education Center graduation, 7 p.m. at Marshall Auditorium. So just letting you know those big upcoming events in May.
And we have policy committee on Thursday as well.
We have policy committee on Thursday. Go ahead, David. Thank you. Student highlights. So as talked about, we've got Nico Tucker on the top left. She was a medalist at the state solo competition. And she did perform at the Spring Tea event and did a fantastic job. Also going bottom left, we have Brittany Herrera, who was a performer at the state solo competition and did a great job. In the middle, we have our second place speech and debate team. Working from left to right, we have Eduardo Cabedal, who was a finalist in Student Congress. Next to Eduardo is Ivy Potter, who was a finalist in dinner speaking. Next to Ivy, we have Aya Coffee Plebu, who was a finalist in poetry. And then last but not least on the far right, we have Ella Croson, who is second in humorous interpretation. So congratulations to them. Top right, also at the state solo competition, we have Alan Cabedal, Eduardo. I called him Eddie because he was Eddie Cabedal when he was at Millicom, was my student. But Alan on the top right was 6th place in the state solo competition. And so congratulations to those folks. And then on the bottom right, we had some students that were recognized in the last city council meeting for the If I Was Mayor contest. We have 2nd place on, not the far left, but that's the advisor that's on the far left. Sydney, I believe it's Zerp. That's the advisor at the junior high. She's a leadership teacher. But next to Sydney is Mira Cantrell, who was 2nd place. Next to Mira is Faith England, who was 1st place. Then we have Mayor Benetti, and next to Mayor Benetti is Elias El Youssef, who is 3rd place. And then last but certainly not least, kind of hiding right there, is Lucy Seedborn, who was honorable mention. So congratulations to those kids for doing a great job there. And that wraps up my superintendent report for the month of May. One of the things that, I talked about testing in May, but May is that time of year where there isn't a whole lot of data present. You're going to get a bunch of data here coming up in June. We have one more data meeting at the end of June with our administrators. They're going to provide the end of the year data. We'll be able to provide you with some data on attendance, additionally, behaviors, things of that nature as we wrap up the school year. But I think I saw in Mr. Ashton's newsletter today, I believe it said the seniors are down to 17 days of school. So it's flying fast and furious. So
Any update on
questions?
Any update on the student education?
Yes, I meet with student education on Thursday. I meet again with our coach, and at that meeting, we are going to go over our implementation timeline and the implementation guidelines, and then I will start providing all that information. I had asked her about recruiting and soliciting people to be involved, and she said, wait till we meet on Thursday, coming up on Thursday. And then she's like, and then we can go full steam ahead. So very soon, very soon. Other questions?
Addie, we don't see you. Do you have any questions? I will assume not.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Addie, you're muted.
Do you have a question?
Addie was.
I just wanted to know how the golfing went.
Golfing was great. I had wonderful weather, no rain. It was as good as I could ask for, and I got to see a lot of great castles and some things like that. So it was a wonderful experience.
Good.
You've almost forgotten it.
Yeah, I was real tired on Sunday. Today's been okay.
My question was, you share your board goals at the beginning of your thing. Is there going to be a point at which you say, here's the goal, and here's what happened, and here's where we are now?
Yeah, my plan in my June board report is kind of I guess it'd be kind of an end of the year wrap up on my items. Like board goal 1 about some of our data will be the last June board meeting. But for some of it, I want to say, yeah, here's the board highlight, here's the board goal, and here's what we did this year to work on either accomplishing that goal or taking steps on that goal.
And the data that we hear from the administrators are probably tied into some of those, right?
Yeah.
So is that going to be connected in a way so that when an administrator says, we achieved 30% of our math goal in 6th grade, we'll be able to remember that is a part of one of your overall goals? In other words, we're going to hear a whole lot of data presentations, and how can you help us roll them up into a dashboard that demonstrates where things are with your goals, and then also whether you want, whether that's by school or by content area, I don't know, but I struggle to kind of keep track of all of this in a way that allows me to feel like I'm being useful. So I'm kind of wondering about that.
Okay, I'll work on work on a plan.
And I don't want to take away from administrators showing off their schools and all of that. I understand that that's important. But I'm kind of curious how it all rolls up.
Sure. I will work on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm following.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seeing no other questions, we will move on to an amazing report by a stand-in for our board member who can't be here. About
Yes.
our facilities.
Oh, yes, so
Thank you. I will keep it amazingly brief, but it was a good meeting. They got started early. I thought I was going to be late, and I was there on time, but 5 minutes early is 10 minutes late, apparently, because they had already started. So they and I, when I got there, looked over some preliminary blueprints that Carly had for we toured Madison. So we looked over some preliminary blueprints that Carly had worked on with a few different vendors for playgrounds and what it might look like at Madison. And we then went from Carly's office out to the playground to see kind of how that would work and talked through some things. Loma was there, Kim, Kevin, myself, and Amarell. We got to see the students doing their lap time, and we did see a lack of a lot of swing sets, and it seems to be that's the most popular thing on the playground. And so the hope is with the new playground, they would give up some of the other play structures for more sets of swing sets, so kids get more than 30 seconds at a time as they cycle through. So that was kind of a topic of the playground, and the committee members that were there were in support of using the funds that Gary and Loma had talked about using for the Madison playground while we build to work on other projects, since we wouldn't be able to do all of those projects at once. This is something that we can check off, and Madison has a little pot of money set aside specifically for that would help effectuate that new playground. So we'll be discussing that in our next meeting as well, kind of how we can assist Carly in getting that started. We walked from there and toured the little piece of property kind of behind Sunset Madison. I was not prepped for a field expedition. I did not bring bug spray, and you need it if you're over there. The mosquitoes are out in full force now, and they're ravenous. Loma did, make us aware that while thinning out that area has reduced some of the encampments in there, it still is a problem, and we noticed that when there were some piles of trash and things. And he had noted that in the past they had thought about logging some of that, but the city wouldn't sign off on it. So I don't know exactly what the past conversations were around that, or if that's something that we wish to look into. But it was interesting to look back in there, and it's such a beautiful little piece of property. It would really be nice for our students to be able to go back there and do a outdoor school without going somewhere else. Do it, access to some green space, because it's a beautiful resource that we have, and it's a cool little stream through there with big skunk cabbages. It looks like prehistoric gardens back through there, plus some trash. So if we could get that part out of there and find some way to, Loma did mention that the community members were very helpful with along with the police force of removing people from that area. The community members are sure to call in if something's going on back there, so that's very helpful. But trying to look for some way we can utilize that property in a way that's beneficial to students.
There's an organization, I'm blanking on the name of it at the moment, but a colleague of mine, his wife is the leader of it, but they organize it, I think it's monthly trash cleanup around the community, and they often get 20 people doing trash cleanup. So I wonder if we gave her this site as an area of effect, if they might choose it for one of the places they go and clean up.
Absolutely, that's a great idea.
I will connect after the meeting, and I'll get the contact information.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Former former superintendent and former teacher Brian Trendle talked a lot about that. Used to be his outdoor classroom space when he taught middle school science at Sunset years ago.
Jamie talked about it as well.
Yeah, so.
Great. That'd be great.
And then from there, I actually had to cut out to go deliver some bagels. So I did not make it to the tour of the Walmart property. So I don't know how that went. But Loma did mention just because of the topography of that site, it was much easier after they thinned it to reduce the encampments. And it was easier for police driving by to look back in there. Whereas the other property kind of dips down where you're hidden from the road. You really have to get out to look in there. So that one hasn't been as much of an issue since they thinned it out. But that's all I know about that property, and that was how our facilities tour went.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you're on again, because now we're going to go to policy.
All right. So first on the list, do we have any prospective policies that anyone would like the committee to review? Okay. Then you will see here our policies up for first reading. We have, most of them are fixing the address. I noticed that was not something the policy analysis was going to check. They don't know that we changed addresses, so I went back and searched through all of our policies, finding any that still had our old district office address, and we're working to change all of those. There were a couple with some brackets still left in there that we'll be removing. The timelines were fine. They just needed the brackets out of there. Then we made a few changes to the posting of licensed and certified staff vacancies to make sure they were in alignment with our other policies and the definitions we have for licensed versus administrator and those things. So those are the changes we made to make that very clear who it was actually applying to. And that's it. Does anyone have any questions on those policies?
What was our definition of local health official?
So the local health official is a actual position. It's an actual designation that Coos Health and Wellness designates a particular person, and I've linked that. It won't show while it's track changes, but when the policy is finalized, it is linked down below to the website that shows who that person is. And I did that so that we don't have to change the name every time it changes.
I remember that coming into play during COVID.
Right. Yeah, I did.
Nobody had heard of that person probably prior to COVID, and now everyone.
I would say that's probably very accurate, but I remember that.
That's true.
Yes.
I had a question, not about the policy, because it made sense to me, but about the practical question for our district for the compulsory attendance notices and citations. How, and I've seen this sadly in healthcare where we see students of school age showing up who are not in any form of school whatsoever. And I'm wondering how are we as the district supposed to know that these children exist?
It's a great question. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if they do not enroll, we don't know that they exist. And
Are there any,
I don't have a real great answer for you, Dr. Rogalski, on it right now.
Because the question is whether we have any collaboration with, for example, Advanced Health, which is our local Medicaid organization, or pediatricians' offices, or like where we match our student roles to
demographics.
We do have some folks that are in good communication with us in the medical community. Dr. Yost, his wife, that communicate with us quite a bit when they have families in need, or when they have families where they're like, hey, the dots aren't connecting on this family. We also have obviously the folks at the ARC, Melinda Torres, who works a lot with our folks that are experiencing housing situations, and tries to connect us to them as well when their students aren't enrolled. At the high school level, it's a little bit easier because we are looking at that in terms of our dropout rate, and going to figure out like when students have left us after 10-day drops. And we don't get a records request to go try to figure out where they went, what happened. It's at the elementary level where it gets a little more tricky. Again, if a student doesn't show up for 10 days and we drop them and we don't get a records request, we correspond with the families on where they're at, but it's the ones when they don't ever show up, ever enroll, that you can get things that slip through the cracks. So I'd be curious, I'll ask some of the other superintendents what they do in those situations, like how are they keeping tabs on those?
One area that we might, from a systems standpoint, do a better job of finding the students would be if we were to match our students with the Medicaid rolls. Just the, you're never going to get everybody, but enrolling for school does take effort, or does take a willingness to enroll for school, but enrolling in benefits of some kind gives you benefits. People enroll in those things because it gets them something that they either need or want in that moment. And so it seems to me from my other hat in healthcare that there are families that are obtaining health benefits and kind of registering or touching the system there, but maybe aren't touching school.
Well, I can tell you that in the world of early learning, that's a really hot topic. And the Early Learning Council, which is the governor's appointed board, includes all those agencies and includes ODE. In order to try and capture all of that. And there is a lot of, that's part of the work that our local hub does. Now, these are all for young children, but they're all, some of them are feeding into preschools, like our preschools. So a lot more, I think, are being captured now that way, and which makes it easier for the school district then to figure out who's coming in kindergarten. That doesn't mean there could be a child who is at home, but.
Yeah, now we can, between the preschool and Head Start, we get a much more accurate head count of
young
incoming kinder, but
not necessarily the older children, as he mentions, if they were to drop after K.
And a person moving in from another school district, and there's no request for us, they're never going to contact us. They don't know where they went.
Right.
And remember that the ODHS, when you apply on the one system for benefits, it's a coordinated enrollment system. So when you call and you need SNAP, or you need housing, or you need health care, you're getting information about everything that you might be eligible for. So, if you're a TANF family or child welfare or whatever you might be, they're also saying, oh, we have employment-related daycare available. Oh, you have a third grader and you need after-school care. Well, where are you? So there are connections there from the Oregon Department, Health Services, but it doesn't necessarily ever come back here to the school district.
And they're recognized, but as soon as they're identified, they just go to the ESD and get home school status.
Happens a lot.
To their home school, so we know they're there, but they're not part of our school district.
And that's, the whole coordinated enrollment discussion is really big, both in healthcare and in.
I see a cat, Addie.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Addie.
You're on mute, Addie.
Do we ask all of our kids to tell us who their medical provider is, though, or their medical insurance company? I would think that asking all Medicaid recipients to sort of be identified is just a bit too intrusive.
When students enroll, we ask them the primary healthcare provider on the enrollment form who their primary doctor is.
But do you ask them who their insurance company is? I mean, that's what Medicaid is.
No, we don't ask them who they're, the only time we ask for insurance information is when they do extracurricular.
Okay, I just find that intrusive.
It used to be a ESD function to have a county truancy officer who went out and did look for those kinds of things and coordinated with those other activities. They haven't done that for a while now.
Long time. And I remember we had Mr. Shires when I was in school, that was the truancy officer. We had, you know, during COVID, or coming out of COVID, the state took away the, much of the truancy citation piece.
Yep.
They got rid of the fines for non-attendance, and you know, students used to have to, you wouldn't be able to have a driver's license if you.
That was the biggest one.
Yeah, and those things have gone away. I think some of them are going to come back into play next year because there's been a lot of push from schools about, you know, chronic absenteeism, and that they, you know, schools have said, like we do, we put all these things into place to try to encourage attendance in a positive way. But when it really comes down to it, we don't have any more that after we've gone through all those measures to do it in a positive way, there isn't anything to say, okay, we've done all these things positively, now we're going to, you know, have a citation. When I worked in South Plains School District, I was the truancy officer as part of my assistant principal, dean of students. And we had a city court, and I was a truancy officer once a month. I would go to truancy court, and I'll tell you, it was a huge game changer for our attendance in terms of, I would go in and say, we've done all these steps to try to do this in a positive way, and it hasn't improved. And changed our attendance pretty
parent, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the reason I brought it up is it's really helpful to hear all that background. I guess from a big picture standpoint, do we need to do something different than we're doing as a district? Since attendance is such a huge piece, and maybe the policy landscape is changing, you know, or are all these other touch points we have with various organizations that are doing a lot of this work already good enough?
No, we're right now, we've been having a Coos Bay district attendance group that's been meeting, and we just finished. They met while I was gone and finished up their last protocols. David's going to be putting together a district protocols for attendance for our K-6 buildings, our 7-12 buildings, and then Milton Crest Education Center in terms of common practices. We've never had common attendance practices in terms of, for example, like when a student's gone 2 days at the elementary level, the teacher contacts the parent and says, hey, we've been missing Johnny, you know, are things going okay? If it gets to 5 days, then it's the building administrator. If it gets to 7 days, a home visit, blah, blah, you know, so on and so forth. We've never had coordinated like protocols. And so we will next year as part of our standard operating procedures. We've had 4 meetings, and now we're getting ready to take all that feedback and put it into protocols and procedures. So that's one thing. I spent some time this year, and we've got a group that's been involved with COSA's attendance cohort at the state level, led by Shelley Berman, who used to be the superintendent in Eugene 4J School District, and at Layton and Heidi Sight, the Utility superintendent. That's where this kind of came from, is these protocols and practices. We're also going to do some things this summer, like I'm going to send a letter home to chronically absent students' families this school year, try to set them up for better success in next school year. So we're doing some protocols and procedures that we haven't done in the past.
Are there standard protocols for excused and unexcused absences?
I mean, we have policy. Yes, we have policies that say what is excused and unexcused. There isn't any difference in terms of state definition of chronic absenteeism in terms of excused and unexcused. But we certainly have definitions of what they are. But it brings up another practice of, for example, like we didn't really have standard procedures in the buildings about at what point is it tardy to become an absence. You know, and you know, if a student misses X amount of the day, especially at the elementary level, when is it stay in absence versus their right? So those are things that we've come up with some standard procedures now that we haven't had in the past.
Right, and it's PK where funding might be
at
risk.
And so then is this policy that sort of Is this policy in alignment with the recommendations that are going to come from this from the standardization process, which sounds like a really great initiative and a good thing to do from like an administrative regulation standpoint, but should this policy be reviewed compared to, or do the two things match?
No, they match up.
Okay.
We're good.
And point of clarification, the end of the policy talks about a citation in violation of this ORS. You're saying that ORS has been stripped of its teeth.
No, that still exists.
It still exists. There's
It's
just,
getting to the court to actually do it. And do we assign a member of ours to take the time to go to court? How are we going to do that? It still exists and it's available, but it used to be the county truancy officer did all that for us.
yeah, so you can still do a citation. It just, when it goes to court, it'll be dismissed. There'll be no fine.
Right.
They'll say, yes, you've been found guilty of, failure for compulsory attendance.
But there's no
Thank you.
fine anymore.
Yeah. So, but again, I think those things I think the pendulum's swinging back the other way, and I think you're gonna see some movement back the other direction next year.
Can I make a point of clarification? I think that, Addie, what you were concerned about with being intrusive, I don't think that's what Dr. Rogowski, I think and correct me if I'm wrong, I think what he was recommending was we look at the students of this age that are enrolled in Medicaid and compare that to the students we already have as students, not asking all of our students for their insurance provider, but just looking at, okay, who's enrolled in state provided insurance versus what students we have already.
Two Excel spreadsheets, the one that we own and the one that Advanced Health owns, and compare the two across, kind of
See if anybody's missed.
see if anybody's missed.
So it'd never be a question we would ask the students. We would just take the available data.
Okay, now I understand.
I don't, maybe. I mean, you'd have to get, legal reasons, and you'd have to.
Right.
You'd have to have an MOU with.
It's worth eventually looking at, but I agree with what you're just saying is absolutely true. He wasn't saying we should gather that information.
No,
He was saying
we shouldn't
we
gather.
should just compare the two. But
If it can be done, and I don't know that it can be done, but just I'm trying to think outside the box of how you would capture some of the students.
The hard part is you can do all that information. You can find the 7 kids that are there. And then as soon as you find them, the parents go to the ESD and get them in homeschool. And we don't gain any people if nothing happens. So is it worth the effort? Is it worth the time and energy of people to go about doing that? Question we have to decide. Because there's only so much time in the day.
True.
And if they don't want them in school, it's going to be hard to have good attendance once they're here. So eventually training parents, if those people in early childhood would just get the parents. Just kidding. As our lady who does our attendance always likes to point out, the parents are great, the kids are great. We just need to figure out how to mesh that so they want to be here. Because that's by the final analysis, the kids whose parents feel like it's important for them to be here will be here, and others have a hard time, and we've got to figure out ways in which we encourage that to happen. And I will tell you that many of those people had a horrible experience in public schools, and they don't want their kids to expose to the same thing that happened to them. And they have no belief that the school's going to help them. So we have to reach out and change those behaviors, which is sad.
True.
We have to do that, but it's true. Okay, I will move on to action items. So the first one is IDT
Yes.
members for 26, 27.
So attached, you have our recommended inter-district transfer numbers for 26, 27. These are students from outside the district that come to us. You can see if you, by looking at that list, we have some openings at some grade levels at East Side. But we have more openings at the grade levels at Madison and Sunset than we do on the east side, of town. There are a few grade levels that have zeros. Millicoma 4th grade, East Side 1st grade, Madison 1st grade. Our kinder numbers are big this year, so we're not going to be taking anybody from out of the district next year at 1st grade. And then Millicoma with some shifts of those students, those teachers that we talked about with the budgets and shifting enrollment. There's some grade levels that we won't be taking any inter-district transfers at those grade levels. But you can see that we've provided you the class size, the recommended class size, and then kind of the openings that we foresee. The junior high, we are not going to be taking anybody from outside of the district. A big reason for that is that bubble group of sixth graders that's coming in is going to put that junior high at capacity. So that's why we're not going to be taking any inter-district transfers in 7th or 8th grade next year. Is we're going to be looking at that group that's 250 plus, which is a huge group. Arnie probably said it wasn't a huge group 25 years ago, but it's a huge group in 2026.
Right.
And then at the high school, we're looking at taking 10 kids per grade level from outside the area that want to come in. And for the most part, at the high school level, we take anybody that wants to come in outside the area. Our numbers are pretty solid there at the high school in terms of class sizes. Destinations.
Can I ask you a question,
Yeah.
Mark? So if you approve an inter-district transfer for a student for 3rd grade, is that for as long as the student wants to stay here, or is it year by year?
It is, I believe on the form, it is year by year, but we have, yeah, it says on the form, it's a year by year. It says in there, you have to fill it out for the following year.
I think it's, yeah. You might be right. I think it's does not have to fill it out, or maybe the policy is what says that.
Okay. And I might be thinking.
Generally, they stay as long as.
They stay as long as they want. We've never accepted one and then turned around and denied them the following year. But we had a form at one point that said this is a yearly form, it must be filled out, but it might be for the ones that are just coming across town. I always get intra and inter confused because we have an intra district, which is kids from Madison that want to go to East Side, or East Side to Madison. And then we have inter, which is the ones that are coming from out of the area. But if we take them, we generally take them for the remainder of their scholastic career.
These numbers are totally dependent on us, right?
Yes.
The state doesn't require us to take anybody.
No, but the state does require us to post
Right.
to have this. Yeah. So this is having this is a state requirement, but the numbers are flexible.
When they become our students, when they enroll in us, then their ADM comes to us.
Correct. Correct.
So the only reason not to take more of them is actually just space.
Yeah,
And
space and
plan-
class sizes.
Space, class sizes, and planning for the future, making sure that you don't get too many inter-district transfers that might then stay with us and bump our class sizes.
Correct. At the kinder level, if you'll scan back up there, David, at the kinder level, it says that, projected is 20, obviously. We're looking at Head Start numbers, we're looking at our preschool numbers. We're gonna take any kids that are at Little Pirates, that are North Bend kids that are already with us. We're gonna bring them up. And any other kinders that come in as an inter-district form, what we kind of do, I shouldn't say kinders, but any grade level is, when we get close to that number, so look at like Sunset 3rd grade, there's 4 slots. So if an incoming 3rd grade family wants to go to Sunset, when we get close to that, we kind of take it and say, we can't give you a yes or no right now. We're going to hold on to this and we'll get back to you in August. When we're kind of sitting on that teetering on that number. Most of the time we're able to take them when it comes into August, but we have to be careful in terms of if we had a handful of years ago where we were accepting any and all, and we ended up accepting kids into that 6th grade group that bumped us way up, and we had to scramble and hire the teacher, and it turned into kind of a mess.
The North Bend now has preschool, so we're not getting as many.
We're not getting as many, but they do. Their Bitty Bulldog program.
Right.
They have 2 classrooms at Bitty Bulldog.
Yeah.
And looking to expand. I think both districts are going to have more preschool slots next year.
And hopefully we'll get more preschool spots from the state.
That's where they come
I
in.
think we can end up with 2 more preschool classrooms next year.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion to accept the IDT numbers for 26, 27.
I'm so moved that we accept the IDT numbers for 26, 27.
Second.
And it's been seconded. Any discussion or further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Very good. It was unanimous. The next one is a resolution that I have in front of me for our certified people. So I will read that fairly quickly. It's resolution number 2026-02. Wow, we've only had 2 resolutions this year so far. Recognition of Certified and Licensed Employee Appreciation Week, May 4th through the 8th. Whereas the Coos Bay School District acknowledges that the success of our educational mission is built upon the education and professional expertise of our certified and licensed staff members. And whereas our teachers, therapists, counselors, school nurses, and other licensed professionals serve as the cornerstone of our community, providing a diverse and essential services that support the academic, emotional, and physical well-being of every student. And whereas these professionals demonstrate extraordinary skill and compassion in their daily work, whether they are delivering rigorous instruction, providing critical mental health support, administering life-changing therapy, or ensuring the health and safety of our campus environments. And whereas specialized knowledge and expertise of our licensed staff are vital in creating an inclusive and accessible learning environment that meets the unique needs of all learners, and whereas those employees consistently exceed the requirements for their roles, acting as mentors, advocates, and champions for the children and families they serve, often working behind the scenes to ensure no student is left behind. And whereas it is appropriate and necessary to recognize the high standards of excellence and the profound personal commitment these individuals bring to our school each day, now therefore be it resolved that the Coos Bay School District Number 9 Board of Directors affirm our commitment to ongoing recognition and appreciation of the invaluable contributions of our certified licensed employees, extending beyond the traditional observances of Certified License Appreciation Week. And be it further resolved that the Board of Directors encourage all students, parents, and community members to join us in expressing sincere gratitude and appreciation for the vital contributions of our certified licensed employees to the Coos Bay School District. So I will take a motion to accept this.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this? I just want to say that it really is important for our community that we have exceptional staff that go above and beyond the day. When you see people here with our students in the Latinx Club or all these other different activities that are happening, our kids that went to state and played in music, all of those teachers are giving a lot more time than the time that's in the classroom to make sure that those kids have the opportunities that they do. I appreciate that. Did we get us?
Yes.
It's been moved and
Okay.
seconded.
We did, yeah.
It's been moved and seconded. So those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Unanimous again. Thank you very much for that one. That was a nice resolution, by the way, you did.
Very nice.
Board items, board member highlights. There.
Yeah, I'd like to have, share 2 highlights. I had a wonderful morning over at Eastside with McKenna Broder, the TOSA for literacy, split between Millicoma and Eastside, and got to see science of reading instruction in action across multiple grade levels, as well as some testing, and speak with many staff members about the literacy push at Eastside. Really helped me connect the when people speak about science of reading, what they're talking about, and got to see a lot of the teachers using very evidence-based strategies to engage their students in literacy, which is really exciting. They're really great to have me kind of walk around and learn from that. So I really appreciate all the staff at Eastside who made that such a useful and educational experience for myself. And then I wanted to highlight, there was a meeting last Friday, you were with Bernie, where a couple of the city councilors in Coos Bay, and Jessica Porter from the Early Learning Hub and Carly Ainsworth, and talked about the preschool and what it would take to have universal pre-K. And it was just mostly an educational. I think myself and the attending city councilors learned a lot from those involved. And one of the things that came out of that, though, was possibly our board drafting a letter of support for the preschool promise classrooms. The city councilors were also going to do something similar. When we submit our application to the state, there's an option for supporting documents, and so Jessica had indicated that she thought that a letter of support from our board, a letter of support from the city council might be helpful adjuncts to what already sounds like a very strong application. And so I was going to propose that maybe that be an agenda item for next board meeting. We have a chance to connect with Jessica, draft such a letter, and the board can consider it for next time.
There are only 78 spots in the state available to be handed out. And the sad part is we've lost a few sites over the last couple of years because they didn't let us just put, we have a waiting list, but they didn't let us just use them. So that's, anyway, I agree with the idea of having that.
And that you met with Councilor Liebergall?
No.
Was one of them?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was me, Carmen Michaels,
Yeah.
and Jacob.
Yeah. That's right.
Anyway, I'll shoot you guys an email and we can connect and consider that for a board item for next month.
Perfect.
Anything else?
That's it.
I attended a retreat by the lake, which is our local early learning conference here. It's held at the college a couple weekends ago, and there were quite a few staff there from Little Pirates, and they were excited to be there, and it was a really great day and a half of trainings, and it was nice to connect with them and talk with them and meet them. Some of them I had not met, so it was really nice.
Addie?
Well, I went to, excuse me, the spring tea, which I agree with Gary was an absolutely wonderful event, though it was interesting to see videos of arrows being shot one after another. Not knowing anything about the sport, it was really interesting. And then I also went to the teacher appreciation event that was held by OSBA, acknowledging all the teachers that were retiring and coming off of probation and who were being recognized by their peers. And it was really nice to hear the write-ups that were given about why, one teacher felt another teacher deserved recognition. And then I went to the AI cadre, and it's a very interesting group of people who really are looking at how teachers can utilize AI to their advantage in creating classroom materials. And the one example that was given was this teacher who figured out through trial and error how to ask AI to draw a picture of what he believed a child would be doing if they were reacting to something in a specific way. And then he was going to use these as prompts in talking to the kids. And it was really interesting because the teachers really are looking for how they can use AI in a constructive manner.
Yeah, I have been at a couple of conferences where they've talked about how AI can be used. And for example, if you're talking about working with students that are struggling with a specific blend when it comes to reading, you can go in and say, please write a 2-paragraph story or 2-paragraph narrative that uses this blend a lot in the language, and it'll with the outline right there, and then they can go work with that student that has the trouble with whatever blend that is, blending that sound. So there's definitely some things that can be used to your advantage when it comes to AI.
The learning curve, though, is them learning how to ask AI to
Yes.
give them back the product that they want.
And it changes so fast.
That's right. But it did lead to a discussion about how, with some of these teachers that were there, that they really believe that some professional development around this subject would be called for.
Okay. So I went to many of the various meetings that he called. I went to the spring tea. I went to the activity with the recognition of the teachers by the teachers. Not as many people as there used to be at those meetings. I was surprised how few people actually showed up. And there were no administrators, which surprised me because generally in the past we've had administrators. Also did safety committee meeting, which Luna has. I'm always interested in that one because he gets all of the reports from everybody in the district for safety violations or issues that happened the previous year. About 85 to 90% are special needs children's interaction with staff that have already gone through this, the principal, and so they know what's going on and they work with it. And as the one principal who was at the meeting said, and generally speaking, that was one student and 20 events, or 2 students and 20 events. So that information. And then the other part, there are things that come up that a window is a problem, a door that doesn't work right, and then one can take care of those fairly instantly, and most of them are taken care of before the meeting. So it's a good process. It engages the people that need to be engaged with, including IT, to see if there's anything they need to do. So it was a good meeting. So for me, that was what I had done. Any last information that people would like to consider today's meeting?
Can I just point out that on the upcoming meetings on the agenda, you've got the budget committee meeting in April. And
Thank you, Addie. I will make that correction in minutes.
thank you.
I was just going to point out, I went and did a little search here, and a few years ago, we changed the interdistrict transfer form. It used to be a yearly form. We changed it to year end.
Yearly for life.
Yeah.
So what's the actual dates for the budget committee?
May 13th.
May 13th.
It's coming up soon.
Yeah, 2 days.
Day after tomorrow. Yeah, under.
I'll have to make sure I have that on my. Okay. So with those additions, is there any other information that people would like to bring forward to today's meeting? Addie, you want me to turn it back to you to
No, you may adjourn the meeting. You are there and you want to get out of there, so.
with that, we'll adjourn today's meeting. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, guys. I'm sorry I wasn't there.
Thank you, Addie.